The first patch for Battlefield 5 has arrived, and with it comes the beginning of Tides of War titled Overture. Each week you'll be able to do assignments that grant you certain items. 3 of the weeks give you weapons, while 1 of the weeks gives you a cosmetic helmet. The first week though, it's live now, and the reward is the VGO, or the Vickers machine gun. If you want a rundown of all of the changes and additions that have been included in the actual patch, then I've already done a video breaking all of that down, but in this video we're going to focus on the new weapon. Is it any good, and how should you set it up? Before we talk about the gun itself, let's just briefly discuss how to unlock it. The way that the weekly assignments work in Tides of War is that they have multiple ways that you can complete them. The assignments split off into trees, and it doesn't matter which route you take as long as you get to the end. You can also complete all of the other routes if you'd like to, and this will grant you extra chapter XP. What is chapter XP, you ask? Well, during this first chapter Overture, as you play you will rank up your chapter separately to your classes and base game rank, and when you reach certain chapter ranks and milestones you'll be rewarded stuff like weapon skins, character skins, emblems and dog tags. So back onto this week's assignment, which is based around attrition and fortifications. Each week will have a different focus, so bear that in mind. First of all, you need to heal yourself 10 times with bandages. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, you don't need to be a medic to do this, by the way. All it means is that you need to use the self-heal bandage 10 times. No trick to do this, just play normally, heal yourself, and you'll definitely reach it in no time at all. The next stage is where it branches off. The top tree wants you to supply 20 teammates with bandages and then heal teammates for 400 points with the medical crate. The middle tree, on the other hand, wants you to resupply from an ammo or healing supply crate 10 times. This means going to one of the large healing or ammo supply stations and using them 10 times. It's really not that difficult. In fact, you can fire off some ammo and get this one pretty fast, but honestly, you'll just get it by playing. After that, you need to destroy 10 fortifications. Again, this isn't that difficult, especially if you go on a map like Aerodrome around the sea point, or even Rotterdam, you know, maps where fortifications tend to be built up around easy capture flags. The bottom tree is exactly the same as the top tree, only for support. So this wants you to resupply 20 teammates with ammo pouches and then supply ammo to 12 teammates from the ammo crates. Pretty straightforward. After this point you're back to one tree, so you then need to follow that one path by building 10 fortifications on or around a capture point. I did mine on Aerodrome inside the hangar, but anywhere will work if you've got that flag captured. You'll notice there's a branch off here to the bottom which asks you to build a snowman. This isn't required for the weapon, but it does grant you 30,000 chapter XP, so it's worth doing. So what you're gonna have to do is jump on Narvik and you should be good to go. There's a house to the left of the A flag where you can build one. The last requirement is to kill an enemy with a stationary weapon. Just find a stationary gun and get a kill with it. There are plenty on Narvik, Aerodrome, Rotterdam. Remember to build them as support if they're not already there. And like I mentioned before, if you haven't done all of the paths, don't worry, you can go back and do them again to gain that extra chapter XP. One thing that players have asked though, what happens if I don't unlock this weapon within this week? After all, this assignment is only going on until December the 12th, and then the next weekly assignment will take its place. In fact, you can already see the requirements in game. Well, have no fear, if you can't get the VGO unlocked within the first week, then you will have the option to get it in game after that week via other means. What are those means? Well, that's not really clear right now, but Eric Altman, who's a dev on the game, did confirm on Twitter that if you miss out, you'll still be able to acquire the rewards through playing. So that's good news for those who can't jump on in the first week. Just a quick shout out for week 2. The reward is the Rat Burner helmet, and well, I think it looks pretty awesome. I can't wait to see that in game. Perhaps DICE will use the Tides of War to ease in some of those more controversial cosmetics. We shall see. I think that one is going to be a bit Marmite though. How can the guy even see? Before we get into the weapon, let's take a look at the specializations that it has on offer. On the left side, you've got the recoil buffer, which gives you less vertical recoil. The flashless repellent, which reduces your muzzle flash when you're firing. The light bolt, which increases the gun's rate of fire from 830 to 981, that's pretty quick, and then incendiary bullets that increase damage against aircraft by 100%. That's a fair amount. On the right hand side you've got quick reload, which gives your weapon a 15% faster reload, a ported barrel which gives you less horizontal recoil, extended mags which increases your capacity from 60 to 100 by increasing the size of the magazine holder on the top of the gun, and then finally chrome lining, which means your weapon overheats 33% slower. So I got to level 4 on this gun and I tried out a few combinations, and like with any weapon it's really down to personal preference, but I went for the recoil buffer, the ported barrel, extended magazine and then chrome lining. I'm not sure I'll get much use out of that extra plane damage, and while I have to admit the extra firing rate is very appealing, I think that this gun already fires fast enough, so I decided to get a few more bullets instead. So what's this gun like then? Is it any good? Well, first of all, it's another MMG, so it's very similar to the MG34 and the MG42, and being an MMG, it means that you can't fully aim down the sight without using the bipod. You either need to use it on a piece of cover, like a wall or some boxes or a window, or you need to go prone to deploy it. Only then can you aim down the sight. If you aren't in one of those positions, you can still press your aim down the sight button and the weapon will zoom in slightly, but it's going to be incredibly inaccurate. That being said, you can still get kills at close range to slightly less than medium range, but I'd always recommend using the bipod wherever possible. I used it to pretty good effect on Arras around the church, using that wall to my advantage. At the time, the enemy were trying to push from B towards the E flag in the middle, and they were grouped up towards C. So what I was doing was moving my position constantly and using the wall to pretty much laser beam people. Now I am a big fan of the MG42. I love that thing, and I would say that it isn't quite as good as that, but it definitely feels better than the MG34 to me. It does fire faster too, even without the rate of fire upgrade. It's also got a bit more ammo by default than the MG34, with a 60 round magazine rather than a 50 bullet capacity than the MG34 has. Of course, if you're going to upgrade the capacity via Specializations, then that's a lot less important. Overall, I had fun with this gun, but much like with the other MMGs, there really is a knack to using this thing, and it really promotes defensive play for the most part, and you need to think about that when you're using it. If you come up across an assault player at medium range and you're not using your bipod, you could be in real trouble. That being said, up close you can definitely still hold your own with the zoomed fire. I actually left the default sight on too because honestly I kind of like it. You can equip a reflex sight if you want to, or even an AA sight, but if you use the reflex sight you're losing a bit of magnification, so I wouldn't really recommend it. The default sight is at 1.5 zoom, but the reflex is 1 times, and because you aren't going to be using that sight for close range combat for the most part, as you're going to be trying to set up and take players out at a range, I'm not sure that the zoom reduction is worth it. I think this first section of Tides of War is an okay base for Battlefield 5 to start from, but there can definitely be a ton of improvements. It's underwhelming in parts. I don't mind the interesting weekly assignments for the weapons, although I do think that they could perhaps take a little bit longer to complete. Having said that, there's a fine balance here between players who can easily play 5 to 6 hours a day and others who can only play casually for a few hours a week and just can't commit to an assignment grind that takes a crazy amount of time. I think on balance it's probably just right. There are a few other assignments available too that will grant you chapter XP if you complete them, and you can find those in your assignments page. So between the practice range, the new Last Tiger single player mission, the vehicle cosmetics and the new Panzerstorm map, we've started to get our first real taste of what Tides of War content will be like. And for the next 4 weeks we can all work towards getting all of the first additional weapons. The VGO is a good start, it's an okay weapon, but there's still plenty to come down the line. And that's all for today guys. Let me know your thoughts on the VGO if you've already unlocked it. Leave a like if you liked the video, a dislike if you didn't. Congratulations if you made it to the end of the video. I know not everyone always stays and they just kind of watch the information and then go. Just a heads up to let you guys know that I've now got memberships enabled on my YouTube channel. What does this mean? Well, if you want to support me directly as a content creator, you can pay $5 and join as a member of my channel, and this will give you access to custom member emotes, kind of like how they do the subscriptions on Twitch, a little logo next to your name as well when you're in the chat, and we'll be doing some members only Q&A sessions where I kind of talk to you guys and ask you for feedback on new videos and content that are coming up and run some ideas by you. Could be pretty fun. There will be additional perks added in the future too. Now, I've already got about 29 members already, so a big thanks to those guys that have signed up already. I appreciate you. And of course, you'll be able to use those emotes and people will be able to see your sub icon when I'm doing live streams, because I'm going to be live streaming a lot more over Christmas and the New Year. I've already done a few live streams on YouTube recently in the last couple of months, and I'm really enjoying it. I did one last night on the practice range, and that then becomes a new piece of content that stays on my channel forever, and it went down pretty well, so I'm happy with that. And there is no pressure or obligation for you guys to sign up and pay to be a member. It's completely up to you, and I'll never offer member-only video content. That's just not something that I'd ever be prepared to do. But anyone that wants to do it, that option is there now, and I just thought I'd give you a heads up, as it's the best way to directly support me as a content creator. So to anyone that's still watching, thanks, and if you want to sign up to be a member of the channel, then that's awesome. With that said, subscribe if you want to see more, guys, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.